Kizuna is a pathetic loser who lives in a world invaded by alien forces. However, when he learns that his sausage can give superpowers to warrior girls, he suddenly becomes the Johnny Sins of his world and cracks all the baddies to save the planet. It all starts inside a freaky chamber where Kizuna is giving a special hands-on inspection to his comrade Himekawa, which causes her power levels reach max. After that, they exit the chamber into the desolate world, where they are greeted by Yuri and her honkers of mass destruction.
Nice.
Yuri teases Himekawa for enjoying too much in the chamber, but Himekawa gets flustered and says she's only doing this for the mission. After that, as she activates her gear, she is suddenly attacked by a giant mech, only for someone to blow it into bits. That someone turns out to be another comrade named Ine, who immediately takes Kizuna into the chamber and tells him to play Doctor with her. When Kizuna notes that her power levels are already high, she says she wants to go overboard so she can access the forbidden weapon inside her. Before any of this, Kizuna is on a train, dreaming about how his mother abandoned him when he was young. When he wakes up, he finds a message from his sister Reiri, who tells him to come to the Amaterasu Academy and meet her at the headquarters. After a while, he reaches the academy and calls Reiri to ask why she called him here even though his powers are useless, but she tells him to stop yapping and meet her as soon as possible. Kizuna rushes off to find the headquarters, but he gets lost and watches the ocean while pretending to be Eren Yeager. Just then, he spots Aina in the distance, and something makes him feel like he already knows her. Aina sees him staring and asks if he's got some screws loose, which makes him anxious to even talk to her. Just then, they hear sirens go off, and Aina tells Kizuna to hide just as she starts to remove her plot armor. Kizuna asks her if she's crazy, but she tells him it's an emergency, and he must find shelter. After that, she reveals a pilot suit underneath her clothes and activates it, which allows his gear called Hybrid to form over her body. Her suit system tells her that she won't be able to use it for long because of low battery, but she ignores this warning as she sees a Magitech weapon coming in her direction. She then pulls out a weapon from a hidden stash and flies up to the mech, fighting it off until she makes it explode. As Kizuna watches this, several interceptors activate around the academy, and the whole place turns into a fortress. He then runs into the forest to reunite with Aina, who once again tells him to hide while she fights off the mechs. However, Kizuna wonders if he should fight too, but then he recalls his mother telling him that he's more useless than Sakura. As he struggles to make a choice, he sees a huge Magitech weapon approach him, but before it blows Kizuna up, Himekawa appears and destroys the mech. She then asks him why he's here, but before he can tell her that he's a new student, Yuri arrives and accuses Himekawa of rizzing up fresh meat in the middle of an attack. Himekawa gets flustered and denies it, right before joining Yuri to fight the rest of the mechs. After they leave, Kizuna looks up to see Aine Ora farming, but then, a giant Magitech ship appears, and Aine's body stops moving as her suit's battery runs out. Seeing this, the mechs overwhelm her to make her fall, and Kizuna wonders if he has the balls to save her life. He then recalls Reiri telling him that a person's value isn't determined by their abilities but rather by how they live, so he takes his shirt off for plot reasons before activating his suit. He then flies into the air and catches Aina, but he loses control and they both come crashing down into the forest. As Kizuz regains his composure, his eyes feast on Aina's unplotted goods.
Wow! Beautiful!
But he controls himself and tries to wake her up. Just then, Reiri calls and tells him to honk on Aina's honkers if he wants to save her life. Hearing this makes him panic, and he asks why he has to do it, but Reiri tells him to just do as she says or they'll both die. With no other choice, Kizuna listens to his sister, which slowly charges up Aina's hybrid gear. However, as the mechs close in on them, Kizuna gets hyperactive to speed up the recharging process.
Yeah, boy.
Soon after, their bodies emit a strange aura, and as Aine wakes up, she feels a surge of power running through her body. Reiri then tells him that this is the true power of the suit called Heart Hybrid, which can be activated by getting freaky. Curious, Kizuna asks Aine how she feels, but when she sees the state of her clothes, she realizes what Kizuna did to her and smacks him away. She then notices that she feels much stronger and her hybrid gear is also fully charged, which confuses her. Then, she flies up and single-handedly defeats the Magitech army, causing their battleship to retreat. Just then, Himekawa and Yuri join her, asking how she became so strong, and Aina looks at Kizuna below, wondering if he's the reason behind it. Meanwhile, Kizuna starts blushing when he realizes that his hands have finally touched something other than his own pickle. Reiri watches this whole scene from the headquarters and declares that Heart Hybrid is key to saving the world. Later, she gathers all the students in the auditorium and explains that 15 years ago, an event called the First World Collision took place, and spaceships from other dimensions appeared on Earth through tiers in space called Open Entrance. The military quickly took action against them, but none of their weapons were effective against these alien invaders. 2 weeks later, the tear in space closed, and the war ended. But it all happened again, and this time, the human population took refuge on islands called megafloats, while the rest of the world fell into ruins. 15 years later, humans are on the verge of extinction, but finally, they have a way to fight back against these alien invaders and take back the mainland. Reiri then introduces everyone to the Amaterasu team, which comprises Yuri, Himekawa, Aine, and the newly added Kizuna, who is still surprised that his sister is actually the high commander of the academy. Reiri further says that they have a way to make the hybrid gears even stronger, and then displays the footage of Kizuna diddling Aine, much to everyone's shock. Immediately, Hikikawa goes up to his face and introduces herself as the disciplinary councilwoman, threatening to chop off his sack for doing the unthinkable to Aine. However, Reiri continues by telling everyone that Aine was able to obtain unimaginable power by sharing love with Kizuna, and this process is called heart hybrid. She then tells the members of the Amaterasu to restore their energy and power up by using Kizuna, immediately making him lose the little bit of respect he had left. The next day, Kizuna wakes up in his dorm room to find Aine acting like a dummy mommy. She says she's come to charge her hybrid, but when she opens his shirt, she gets flustered and tells him to finish her up quickly. Kizuna gets nervous and asks him why she's in such a hurry, only to hear a knock on the door. It turns out to be Himekawa, who says she misjudged him yesterday and has come to apologize. She then steps into the room and sees Aine on top of him, and this makes her freak out as she thinks Kizuna forced her in. However, Aine tells her that she was the one who came on to Kizuna, but Himekawa gets furious and activates her hybrid. Aine activates her gear too, and their fight causes an explosion in the room. Later in class, the girls disapprove of Reiri's decision to let Kizuna live in the girls' dorm, but Yuri tells them not to judge his character on first impression. As Kizuna walks into the class with the girls, Yuri immediately says hi to him, but her fangirls warn Kizuna to stay away from Yuri because he's not worthy of breathing the same air as her, let alone crack her. However, Yuri asks the girls to calm down and asks Kizuna if he can really make her stronger. Kizuna says he isn't sure, but when she suggests they try it now, Himekawa says she won't let anyone get freaky inside the class. Aine asks Kizuna if it's okay as long as they're not in the class, but Himekawa quickly tells her that she will not let them crack it till the end. Just then, a lolly named Sylvia appears in class and tells Kizuna that the commander wants to see him. She takes him to the research lab, where Kizuna sees a picture of his mother, who was once the head researcher on the hybrid project. Afterward, he meets up with Reiri and the lab's director, Shikina, who has created a special device for Kizuna, which allows him to access private information on the Amaterasu members. Reiri then tells him that each hybrid suit has a charge, and once it goes below 5%, the suit becomes unusable. Natural recovery takes too long, but Kizuna's hybrid has the power to speed up recovery, and the fate of humanity lies in his ability to make pies of the creamy kind. She also makes him the captain of the team and assigns Sylvia as his attendant, who will monitor his progress with the girls. Soon after, Reiri sends the squad to a nearby island to gather data and recover resource samples. However, Himekawa is still annoyed that he became their captain and decides to work alone. Reiri then warns Yuri to be careful as her hybrid is at 20% charge, but Yuri tells her that the island is safe and she should instead worry about her brother. Later, they reach the island and install the data recovery device. Yuri then drags Kizuna away and asks how many enemies he's scored and if he has a girlfriend, only to learn that he's a virgin with zero experience in both chicks and combat. In response, she says she has scored 300 but refuses to elaborate if she's talking about her body count or the number of enemies she's slain. She then suggests they rejoin the others, but to her shock, an entrance appears before her, and Chromia from Transformers appears from within. Meanwhile, Himekawa and Aine are done collecting data, and when they spot the entrance, they immediately get their guard up. At the same time, Yuri activates her hybrid gear, but when she tries to call for backup, all connections are cut, and Aine and Himekawa are also locked inside a dome. Yuri then sends Kizuna to find them, but on the way, he sees that her hybrid gear is on a 6% charge, and she is fighting alone. Just as Yuri defeats the giant mech, an A-ranked Draggery appears from the entrance, and she realizes that she is cooked. When she tries to attack it, her battery runs out, and she finds herself unable to move. Just as her suit vanishes, the Draggery tries to blow her up, but Kizuna returns at the last second and blocks the attack. However, his shield breaks midway, and he takes major damage from it, so Yuri rushes to his side to make sure he's okay. He tells her to make a run for it, but Yuri cannot understand why he's protecting her even though they have just met. He says it's only natural for a man to protect a woman, and this makes Yuri blush. He then extends his arm to tell her to escape, but when he accidentally touches her, she feels a new power awaken inside of her. She then reaches the state of heart hybrid, and after thanking Kizuna for the help, she faces the Draggery head-on and proceeds to obliterate it in a single attack. Immediately, the dome around Ine and Himekawa vanishes, and the connection is restored as well. Yuri then tells the girls that she did heart hybrid with Kizuna, and while Himekawa is flustered, Ine feels jealous that she wasn't the first to do it. Later, as Kizuna returns to the lab, he tells Reiri that Yuri was in a lot of pain when her charge dropped below 5%. After he leaves, Shikina asks Reiri that he should tell Kizuna the full truth. Meanwhile, Kizuna returns to his room and finds Ine waiting for his turn, but Yuri barges in and asks for a round 2. Just then, Himekawa arrives to check up on him. But after seeing both girls thirsting over Kizuna, she causes another explosion in his room. Later, while Ine is destroying dummy Magitech weapons as part of her training, Sylvia watches from her class, hoping to be like her one day. Meanwhile, Kizuna calls Ine amazing for always working so hard, but she gets annoyed and asks if amazing is the only word his doo-doo brain could come up with to describe her. She then says it's not a big deal because fighting is her only purpose, which piques Kizuna's curiosity. Just then, Himekawa and Yuri destroy a whole squad of mechs and flex their powers, which makes Ine feel frustrated. Meanwhile, Reiri is in the research lab and confirms that by performing a heart hybrid with Kizuna, both Ine and Yuri have become stronger. Seeing this, she declares that they can move to the next stage of their plan before seeing the picture of her mother and wondering what she's up to. Later, Yuri cuddles up to Kizuna and asks him what he thought of her performance during training. At this, Kizuna gets nervous and says she did amazing, so Yuri asks him for a reward. She then drags him to a date at the Tokyo float, and when he asks why she chose this spot, and eagerly says she always wanted to go sightseeing. Kizuna then tells her that the temple is a replica because humans didn't have enough time to bring everything to the mega floats, and she wishes to see the real one someday. Kizuna says they're fighting to free the mainland, so she might see it soon, and hearing this, she drags him across the city to different kinds of spots. By the evening, they're on top of a tower, and Kizuna notes that Yuri is quite outgoing, because not many people would explore the whole mega float on a whim. Yuri says she's come to appreciate life ever since he saved her on the other island, so now she wants to make the most of it and enjoy more. She adds that she wants to do things like falling in love, and it's all thanks to Kizuna. After their date, Kizuna is on the way home when he spots Himekawa taking a stroll all by herself. As he joins her for a walk, she jokes that she had to stay late in school to keep boys like him from adding to the world's population. She then says she likes the school and wants to make the lives of her peers more fun, and Kizuna finds her dedication cute. However, this makes her panic, and as she trips, Kizuna prevents her from falling flat on her cakes. Now in her arms, Himekawa freezes, and they both start to blush. But before anything can happen, their bodies start to glow, and they go through a heart hybrid. As Kizuna watches in confusion, Himekawa quickly separates from him and curses herself for being so sensitive. Just then, they hear someone in the gym and peep through the vent to see Ine practicing all by herself. Himekawa reveals that Ine is always like this, and even when someone tries to spar with her, she keeps her distance from others. She says none of them can tell what she's thinking, but Kizuna recalls seeing her crying the first time he saw her. Meanwhile, Reiri sees that Kizuna has achieved heart hybrid with Himekawa too, so she must tell him the whole truth about the hybrid suits. The next day, Kizuna asks his classmates about Ine, but they know nothing about her. Just then, Ine catches him red-handed and takes him outside, where they sit awkwardly on a bench. Kizuna wonders how to start the conversation, but she beats him to it by asking if he has had breakfast yet. When he says no, she pulls out her lunchbox full of sandwiches, and Kizuna asks if these are homemade. Ine says she bought them from the store, cut them in half, and put them in the lunchbox, and that's the extent of her housewife skills. When Kane argues that it doesn't count as handmade, she goes into detail about how nothing is truly handmade, and Kizuna finally realizes why she has no friends. In the end, Kizuna apologizes for ever questioning her, and after they eat the sandwiches, he wonders why he's here. When he tries to leave, she starts blushing and asks if he'd like to have her cookie for dessert. Kizuna panics and reminds her they're in public, but she says she read in a book that smashing in public makes a guy happy. She then gets assertive and demands that he do heart hybrid with her right now, but Kizuna notices that she's trembling. When he asks if she's scared, she hides her fear and says she will never be scared of a lowlife like him. She adds that she is about to get her immoral weapon right as she unzips her jacket, which makes Kizuna blush. She then reveals her plot covers and then asks Kizuna to start it. When he hesitates, she grabs his hand and forces him to feel it, saying that she can't let Yuri and Himekawa beat her. At this, Kizuna agrees to help her and uses both hands. While doing so, he pins Ine to the bench and climbs on top.
Yeah, boy.
But as he leans in to kiss her, she looks away, making him realize that this is wrong. He pulls back and says they need to know more about each other to get freaky. But Ine says it's impossible and runs off. After that, Kizuna goes to meet Rei, and she takes him to the room where he underwent a core installation surgery many years ago. He admits he only did it to get his mother's approval, but she abandoned him even then. He then says he wants to know more about Ine, like where she came from and what she's like, but Rei says there are no records of her early life. 7 years ago, Ine was found on the riverbed, and she had lost all her memories. During his physical exams, she was deemed highly compatible with the hybrid gears, so the lab took her in and turned her into their science project. Their mom, Hida, personally tended to Ine, but after Hida disappeared, Ine was left all alone. Kizuna is confident he can get close to Ine over time, but Rei says they don't have time and asks Shikina to show him the secret file. Shikina uploads it directly to Kizuna's brain, and he sees his mother experimenting on the early prototypes of the hybrid gear. The student wearing it was forced to exhaust her hybrid charge until it reached 0, after which the student lost her life. After the file ends, Kizuna can't believe what he just saw, and Rei explains that once the hybrid charge drops to 0, the person wielding the gear dies. She also reveals that no one else outside this room knows about this, and Kizuna realizes that Yuri, Himekawa, and Ine are all unaware that their lives are at risk. Kizuna goes off on Rei for not telling them, but Shikina reveals they only learned about this very recently. Kizuna then says they must not use the hybrid gears, but Rei says they don't have any other weapons strong enough to fight the invaders. That night, a defeated Kizuna returns to his room and sees that Sylvia has already made him dinner, and seeing him try her best to help cheers him on. Meanwhile, Ine recalls the day Dr. Hida told her about a special weapon, called the immoral weapon, hidden in her body. She told Ine that the weapon would come out once her hybrid charge went above a certain level, and Ine eagerly looked forward to the day she would use it. At present, the Academy is hit with another Magitech invasion, and as defensive measures are taken immediately to counter it. While the other troops prepare to defend the Academy, Rei tells Kizuna to stay put because he cannot handle the sheer number of enemy troops. Meanwhile, the other members of the Amaterasu approach the enemy, and they are tasked with destroying the flagship before its cannon comes in range of the Academy. With their orders, Yuri and Himekawa start blasting at the enemy, which makes Ine think she's lagging. Because of that, she becomes reckless and goes deeper into the enemy fleet, only to come across a giant draggery. Back in the command center, Rei notices that Ine's hybrid charge is falling faster than usual, and if it drops to 0, her core will explode and she will die. Despite this, she charges headfirst into the draggery and smacks it so hard that it explodes with a single strike. She then declares that she's stronger than Yuri and Himekawa because she beat an A class, but Kizuna immediately calls her to inform her that her charge is below 10%. Even then, she charges ahead, so Kizuna decides to go after her to stop her from dying. As Ine closes in on the flagship, she faces heavy cannon fire until her charge drops even more, and she loses consciousness. When she wakes up, she finds herself inside a lab with Kizuna by her side, who tells her she fell after taking a direct hit. She asks for an update on the situation, and Kizuna informs her that a squad of invaders is landing as they speak. Hearing this, she decides to rejoin the battle, but her body feels too heavy because her hybrid charge is below 5%. Despite this, she tries to go outside, but Kizuna forbids her from leaving. In response, she says fighting is all she can do, and she won't slack while others do better than her. She then deems herself worthless for not being able to do the one thing she was designed to do, lamenting over having no identity or memories outside of her role as a hybrid gear user. She adds how all her memories before the lab are lost, and she has spent all her life isolated. Now, she is too afraid to make friends because she's bad at holding conversations, making Kizuna realize why she was acting like an idiot earlier. She also recalls how Dr. Hida praised her every time she did well with the hybrid gear, but that was the only thing she could do. Being better than everyone at fighting is her only identity, and she cannot tolerate the fact that someone else is doing it better than her. She then recalls Dr. Hida telling her that there's a secret weapon hidden inside her, and she need to overcharge her hybrid to unlock said weapon. However, she thought it was taking too long for her charge to go up, and she thought that weapon was impossible to achieve. But then, Kizuna dropped into the mix, and she thought she finally had a chance. Ine admits she tries to make him fall in love with her, but she soon realized that her massive honkers alone weren't enough to woo him. Thus, she read a lot of books on how to befriend boys, and even attempted to make him lunch, only to fail miserably. Then, she came across Mia Khalifa's sussy book and decided to try some things with Kizuna, but she failed and could not unlock her secret weapon. she declares that there's no reason for her to live anymore, and it won't be long before everyone on the island dies anyway. Hearing this, Kizuna scolds Aina because he thinks she just wants someone to praise her, but she tells him to shut it because he doesn't understand her. Kizuna then tells her that it's okay that someone is better than her, and she can find something else to be best at, but she gets so pissed that she takes a swing at him. However, Kizuna doesn't even flinch, and she snatches his tracking device to see that he, too, is out of hybrid charge. Seeing this, she starts throwing a tantrum because not even someone as weak as Kizuna is afraid of her, and she asks him why he saved her. Kizuna then reveals that he was Dr. Hita's prime subject until someone better suited appeared, and he was discarded. He tried to have a normal life after that, but he couldn't talk to people or make friends. That's when Reiri told him that his worth wasn't in his abilities, but rather in how he spent his life, and that helped him live again. Hearing this makes Aina smile, and Kizuna tells her she can always start again if things don't go her way. At this, she starts blushing, asking if he'd give her back shots so she can start over, and Kizuna pulls her closer in agreement. After that, Bro pulls his Johnny Sins routine on Aine until their bodies begin to glow and they achieve heart hybrid. However, Aine becomes a completely different person and demands a round 2. Just then, Shikina calls Kizuna to let him know that Aina is experiencing the side effects of a successful heart hybrid, and he should go harder to reach a higher power level. Aina gets impatient and turns into a loyal dog, so Kizuna takes it to the next level, and finally, she reaches a new level called Climax Hybrid. Outside, Yuri is getting overwhelmed by the mechs, but Aina destroys them in a single attack before turning her attention to the ground troops. Seeing them struggle, she pulls out her immoral weapon called the Pulverizer, and while she charges it up, Kizuna charges ahead and destroys the incoming mechs to buy her time. Himekawa and Yuri are shocked, wondering how Kizuna got so strong, and once the charging is done, Aina fires a strong beam that obliterates all Magitech weapons along with her flagship. That night, while the school throws a party to celebrate a successful defense, Aina approaches Kizuna and says that after they got freaky, she regained a part of her memories. She saw a beautiful lake with snow-covered mountains, a futuristic city with tall buildings, and a giant mechanical clock. She asks him to crack her again so she can remember, but they are interrupted by the others, which leads to an argument. Meanwhile, Shikina calls Reiri into her lab and shows him the footage of today's battle, revealing a mysterious humanoid figure wearing a hybrid gear. Reiri is confused as to what a human is doing siding with the Magitech, unaware that a new and big challenge is heading in their direction. Many years ago in Tokyo, when humans were being sent to the Mega Float Islands, Himekawa was among the hybrid troops guiding them to the ships. That's when she spotted a girl with a teddy crying and told her to cheer up because she'd beat all the bad guys and protect everyone. At present, Reiri tells Kazuma that, as a reward for winning the battle, he can have the entire bathhouse to himself. Hearing this, Kizuna immediately removes his plot armor and excitedly heads into the bath, only to come across Himekawa and her soft buns.
Nice.
Shocked by this, they both stare at each other for a while before Himekawa starts screaming and calling him things that'll get this video demonetized. Kizuna goes into panic and tries to explain himself, but she activates her hybrid gear and beats him to a pulp. The next day, Reiri admits that she did not tell Himekawa about it because they're taking too long to get familiar, and she wants them to crack it. Himekawa starts arguing with Reiri for doing something so indecent, but Reiri asks her how much of her hybrid charge is left, reminding her that both Yuri and Aina have charged up to the max by doing heart hybrid with Kizuna. Himekawa gets so annoyed that she leaves the office in anger, but when he recalls how gentle he was with her, she wonders if she should let him hit it. Later in class, as the teacher tells them that all the mega floats have gotten their communication cut off, Himekawa looks back at Kizuna before quickly averting her gaze. At this, Kizuna wonders how he can make her fooled, while also promising not to let Yuri and Aina die. Just then, Reiri calls him and tells him to come to the industrial warehouse because she has to show him something. Once he gets there, she shows him a simulation room that can create any scenario instantly and also change his clothes to whatever he wants. Kizuna is excited to use this room for training, but Reiri tells him that the engineering team, led by a student named Momo, created this room so he can use it to power up others. Reiri then says it can also bring his degenerate desires to life right as she appears in a bunny girl outfit, which makes him nervous. She then advises him to start smashing soon, so Kazuna invites Yuri because she's the easiest among the three girls. He then starts going through several room designs until one of them makes Yuri flustered and increases her charge. After that, he puts her in a two-piece, and even though she is shy at first, she soon overcomes it and pins Kizuna down. However, she accidentally presses the tablet and puts herself in a blindfold plus handcuffs. allowing Kizuna to take back control, and by the end of it, Yuri's hybrid charge goes to the max. That evening, Himekawa spots a couple in the yard and cock blocks it, but as she catches her breath, Kizuna appears and asks if she'd go out with him for a while. Hearing this makes her nervous, but before she can respond, Sylvia appears with a report card and shows Kizuna that she got straight A's. At this, Kizuna gives her head pats for doing so well, but Himekawa gets annoyed and leaves while recalling how she couldn't save that little girl back then. The next day, Reiri summons the whole team and informs them of mysterious radio waves that were detected from Guam Island. Shikina adds that there used to be an American military base on Guam, and there is a good chance the signal came from there. Suspecting a lost survivor, Reiri tells the squad to visit the island and find the source of the signal. Kizuna reminds her that there is an entrance in Guam, but Aina says she'll wipe out everyone with her new weapon if the need arises. Yuri reminds her that she can't summon it anymore, but Aina says she'll let Kizuna crack her again if she needs to. Yuri says it's her turn, but Himekawa tells them to snap out of it because they have a mission at hand. With that, they leave for the island, and once they get there, Kizuna pairs with Himekawa to explore the city, while Yuri and Aina explore the Air Force base. Soon after, the girls sneak inside the base and reach the communication room, which appears to be broken, except for one unit. In the meantime, as Kizuna and Himekawa explore the city, she finds a stuffed teddy on the road, which reminds her of the past. Just then, they hear someone singing and follow the voice to find a green-haired hottie sipping tea. Himekawa foolishly announces that she's from the Amaterasu squad and has come here to rescue her, but the girl summons her heart hybrid gear, much to their shock. When Himekawa asks who she is, the girl introduces herself as Aldea, a warrior from the proud empire of Atlantis. She also reveals that she's come from a different world and proceeds to open an entrance right behind her. After that, she starts attacking them, but as Himekawa fights back, all of her attacks appear useless. Aldea uses this opportunity to gain the upper hand, but just then, Yuri appears and evens the playing field. Aina also joins the fray, telling Kizuna that they must capture Aldea alive so they can get information from her. As Aina and Aldea engage in battle, Aldea immediately recognizes Aina as the girl who destroyed their flagship and tries to get into her head. However, Kizuna steps in and she yeets both of them away. After that, Aldea summons a three-headed dragon from the entrance, and Himekawa recognizes it as the one that attacked the Tokyo float. She immediately flies up to fight it, but her blades can't pierce the dragon's armor. Aina and Yuri try to help as well, but their efforts prove futile too. Himekawa insists on fighting the dragon, but Kizuna realizes that they can't fight it and orders the squad to retreat. As they fly away, Aldea decides to let them go because her magic has run out, while Kizuna looks at a depressed Himekawa and processes everything he learned today. After they return to the base, Shikina informs the squad that this is the first human invader they have ever experienced, and her special ability seems to wrap space. Aina recalls how they were trapped inside a dome on their first mission, while Kizuna believes that the Atlantis Empire is on the other side of the entrance, sending weapons into their world. Reiri says they can't be sure yet, and Shikina adds that the tri-head dragon that Aldea summoned is an S-class monster. Recalling how it once destroyed the city, Himekawa asks Reiri's permission to go back and fight it, but Reiri turns her down, saying they already gathered more than enough info for a single mission. Himekawa refuses to accept this and wishes to throw all the manpower at the enemy, but when his own subordinates don't support her reckless ambitions, she gets upset and storms out of the room. She isolates herself from the rest in her dorm room, but when Kizuna goes to check up on her, he finds the door open. He uses his tracker device to locate her, but when it shows no signal, he immediately suspects that she must have gone to fight Aldea. Soon after, Himekawa ambushes the Queen of Jugs, but Aldea easily dodges her attack and praises her gut for coming alone. Himekawa demands answers from her, but when Aldea toys with her, Himekawa tries to attack her with blades. However, Aldea blocks all her attacks with ease and even lands a solid hit on Himekawa. Afterward, she uses her weapon to trap Himekawa inside a cube, which is an inescapable prison made by warping space. Aldea then reveals that she controls the space inside the cube, which means she can play Fruit Ninja with her body, and she starts by giving Himekawa a stretch. Luckily, she is interrupted by Yuri and is forced to let Himekawa go to block Yuri's attacks. Kizuna immediately rushes to check up on her, calling her a moron for coming out here alone. Seeing their romance, Aldea declares that she'll end him too, but Aina joins the party and actually manages to push Aldea back, which only excites her more. Aldea asks for her name, and when she says she's Aina, Aldea suddenly loses her smirk and asks her the name of her Magitech armor. Aina is confused because the suit she's wearing is called Heart Hybrid called Zeros, and in response, Aldea recites a phrase that goes, "The goddess dances with the void, death, the emperor, and eternity." Not sure what it means, Aina goes in for another attack, but already backs off and summons Tri-Head, asking Aina to show her true powers. Seeing the dragon, Himekawa immediately fires up, but her hybrid charge drops, and she loses her gear. Just then, Riri appears on a helicopter and drops the simulation chamber in the middle before telling them to climax hybrid. Eager to get his pickle unwrapped, Kizuna carries Himekawa inside, but she starts yapping about how she's a selfish brat who puts everyone in danger. Seeing her tears, Kizuna asks if something happened between her and the Tri-Head Dragon, and she finally tells him that she was on a mission to escort people aboard the ships. However, the Tri-Head Dragon appeared and dropped a nuke on everyone, causing the loss of countless lives, and Himekawa couldn't do anything. To this day, she carries the regret of not training harder and enjoying her celebrity status, which is why she became the disciplinary councilwoman and turned her life around. However, now that she feels hopeless again, Kizuna tells her to focus on the lives she did save. She argues that she hasn't saved a single soul, but Kizuna says he is alive because of her. He admits he couldn't fight back then and would have died if it wasn't for her, and just like him, she has saved many others without realizing it. He says he felt the same as her because, despite having a hybrid, he couldn't protect himself, let alone others. However, he believes that they can fight back if they reach climax hybrid and bring out the hidden weapon inside of her. Hearing this makes her blush, and after she hints that she's ready, Kizuna turns the room to her liking before starting the ritual. However, Himekawa is a little hesitant because she believes she's too flat for his liking, but the guy pins her down and assures her that he likes his fruits in all shapes and sizes. Afterward, Kizuna gives her a heart hybrid, but there's still more service for the fans. He then shifts the room and puts her in a sussy catgirl costume, which makes her feel even more embarrassed. Kizuna then runs her magic on her, until he finally takes her to climax hybrid. At that moment, a surge of power runs through Himekawa's body, and she activates her hybrid suit. She is then able to access her new weapon called Gladius, and remembering those whom she failed to protect, she swings her sword and defeats the Tri-Head with a single attack. After that, the whole team surrounds Aldea, but she is still a menace and attacks everyone. Kizuna struggles at first because he's never been able to produce a weapon, but due to his climax hybrid, he successfully creates a blade and overwhelms Aldea. As a last resort, she creates an entrance and summons dozens of enemy ships, but suddenly, the heroes get back up in the form of American heart hybrid units. Just as things get interesting, Aldea hears a voice from the other side, telling him to return to her world. Recognizing it as her comrade, Grable, Aldea chooses to retreat into the entrance. After the dust settles, Yuri asks Himekawa if she finally got cracked, and when she blushes, Ina cannot believe her eyes because Himekawa is always giving lectures on celibacy. Ina then says Himekawa doesn't have the guts to do it, but Himekawa admits that she indeed did it with Kizuna, but it was purely for the mission. Just then, the American unit joins them, and Yuri recognizes their leader as her old friend Scarlet. As she says hi, Scarlet gives her a cold look and tells her to stay away from her, much to her confusion. Later that night, Ina wakes up from a strange dream, and as her body starts trembling, she recalls a certain phrase that Aldea recited to her. Meanwhile, Aldea makes it back to the Atlantis Empire, and Grable asks her if she really saw Zeros. When she confirms it, Grable asks why she didn't report to the higher-up, and she says she wanted Grable to get the credit. She also reveals that the person wielding Zeros is named Ina, which piques Grable's curiosity. The next day, Shikina and Riri monitor the entrance as it closes, thanks to an anonymous tip they received. Riri adds that they might have a chance now that the American units have joined the academy, but they are curious as to who gave them free info. Meanwhile, as Yuri is having lunch with Kizuna, Scarlet, and her friends, Baird and Sharon ask to join him. Kizuna asks why they are here, and Scarlet says they've joined the academy for a joint operation. She then says she has the heart of Kizuna's special power, and tries to get closer to him by asking him to give her a tour of the academy. Yuri tells her to scram because she's booked Kizuna for lunch, which leads to an argument. Amid their yapping, Kizuna notices Ina sitting alone, but the girls drag him outside before he can talk to her. Outside, both girls fight over who gets to have Kizuna, so they decide to settle it by going to the arcade and playing all kinds of games. Surprisingly, every game they play ends in a draw, so they choose to settle it with a swimsuit contest, with Kizuna as the judge. He wonders why he even agreed to this, but when the girls come out wearing the same swimsuit,
Wow! Beautiful!
and thanks the gods for making him a degenerate. However, Scarlet gets upset and causes a wardrobe malfunction to Yuri before dragging Kizuna into the changing room. He asks her why she's acting crazy, and Scarlet says she's interested in having a heart hybrid with her. She then pins him against the wall to make him whip it out, but they both slip, and the next thing Kizuna sees is what every guy dreams of seeing every day. Scarlet gets extremely flustered and tells Kizuna not to move, but then she falls on him and gives herself a heart hybrid. After Yuri walks in on them, they sit outside on a bench, and when Kizuna explains to Yuri that it was an accident, she ignores him and walks away. Afterward, Kizuna asks Scarlet if she and Yuri are actually friends, given how they scored the exact same in games and even chose the same swimsuit. Scarlet immediately denies any ties with Yuri, stating that she has nothing to do with such a horrible person. She adds that Yuri sees everyone as a pawn to be sacrificed, recalling how they were once fighting a draggery and were on the verge of death. However, Yuri stayed out of the fight until the draggery was weak and came to finish it with a single blow. This turned her into an overnight celebrity, and Scarlet says she will never forgive her for using her as a pawn. Kizuna refuses to believe that Yuri would do something like this, but Scarlet gets upset and heads home. Just then, Kizuna sees that Yuri was close by, listening to everything. But when he asks her if the accusations are true, Yuri refuses to elaborate and walks away. Meanwhile, in the Atlantis Empire, Grable and Aldea are hailed heroes by the locals, much to the dismay of a certain someone. Later, as the two of them enjoy dinner, Aldea gets high and takes off her jacket, exposing the scar that Grable once gave her. Grable reveals that she also has a fragment of Aldea's spear inside her chest, so Aldea pins her down and apologizes properly for hurting her. A few minutes later, they're both in bed kissing passionately, while also discussing how they're going to launch their next attack. The next day, Sylvia brings homemade cookies for Kizuna, and after tasting one, he says she'll become a good wife someday. However, Sylvia starts to blush and says it's too sudden. But before Kizuna can explain himself, she gets overwhelmed and runs away. Afterward, Kizuna walks by Ina's room and hears her getting worked up over not finding anything related to her past. He walks inside to check up on her, and when he asks what she's doing, she tells him it's none of her business. Kizuna offers her the cookies Sylvia made, but even when he says she doesn't want any, Kizuna knows that she needs someone to talk to. As they sit together, she tells him to ask whatever he has to, but Kizuna says he won't ask anything, and she should tell him what she wants to on her own. At this, she starts to blush and is about to hold his hand, but the alarms suddenly go off, and Rei immediately barges into the control room to assess the situation. There, she learns that there's a single invader that has landed in the city, and it's none other than Grable. As Baird brings the armed troops to surround her, she introduces herself as the commander of Atlantis force and demands that they hand over Zeros and its user, Ine. Baird reminds her that she's surrounded and in no position to make demands before signaling her sniper Sharon to take a shot. After Sharon shoots at Grable, she easily dodges the bullet and proceeds to destroy the whole squad within seconds. When Kizuna and the others reach the fight scene, they find everyone, including Baird and Sharon, defeated, and this makes Scarlet lose her mind. She launches dozens of missiles towards Grable, but Grable destroys them mid-air and then launches a counter at her. Kizuna steps up to block the attack, but he takes significant damage in the process. Seeing this, Yuri tells them both to stay back, but Scarlet doesn't want her to save her. In the meantime, Himekawa and Ine duke it out with Grable, but she beats them both to a pulp right as Yuri launches her most powerful attack towards her. Even then, Grable easily overpowers her, and she comes crashing down, leaving only Scarlet to face the aftermath. Within seconds, even Scarlet is defeated, so Grable slowly walks towards Ine and beats her up some more. Kizuna uses whatever strength he has left to oppose her, but he can't do much anyway. After that, Grable tells Ine to come with her if she wants to learn who she is, but Kizuna returns like a cockroach and says she won't let her take Ine. Strangely, Grable leaves them be and returns to her ship, telling Aldea that she's run out of magic and they'll get Ine next time. After they leave, Kizuna loses consciousness and Ine crawls to her rescue. A week later, Shikini gives a damage report to the members of Amaterasu, revealing that many buildings were destroyed, but the loss of life was kept to a minimum. Just then, Kizuna walks into the room, and the girls immediately get happy that he's back on his feet. With their captain back in action, the team learns that Grable was much stronger than Aldea, and Rei asks them to wait for more info on her abilities before they do anything. They already know that the enemy was after Ine and her Zeros, but when Kizuna asks Ine if she knows why she's the target, she says she has no idea. Rei then says that they need to close entrances in Tokyo and Okinawa to take back Japan, and they'll start with Okinawa since it's closer. Unfortunately, Grable is already there, and they will need the power of Connective Hybrid to defeat her. Shikina then explains that Connective Hybrid can be achieved when more than 2 units achieve a Heart Hybrid at the same time. She adds that it will allow them to summon an even stronger immoral weapon, but Himekawa starts yapping about it being too indecent. Shikina further explains that this new hybrid uses Kizuna's love, on top of the truth between all 3 companions, to reach newer heights, so Kizuna decides to do with Yuri and Scarlet. Meanwhile, Scarlet and Sharon are watching over Gertrude, who still hasn't recovered from the injuries she took against Grable. Scarlet laments over not being strong enough to protect them, but just then, she gets a call from Kizuna, who asks to meet him if she wants to get strong. Scarlet immediately agrees, only to find herself sharing a bathtub with Kizuna and Yuri.
Yeah, boy.
She starts complaining because Kizuna tricked her, but Yuri uses this opportunity to get closer to Kizuna to make her feel jealous. Her trick works like a charm, and when Scarlet tries to join them, she trips inside the tub and falls directly into Kizuna's arms.
Oh my god!
Yuri embraces her from the back and presses her jugs into Scarlet, and with the help of Kizuna's magical hands, they achieve heart hybrid. After that, Kizuna asks them to remove their plot armors so they can take it to the next stage, and Scarlet shyly follows his command. This time, she trips into Yuri's arms, and Yuri asks if she's eager to play with her G-cups. Scarlet anxiously denies it, but Yuri recalls how Scarlet used to follow her around all the time. Kizuna then pulls up with old footage of when Yuri and Scarlet used to fight together, and it makes her remember the good old times. She recalls how Yuri was always there through thick and thin, and quickly hugs her, refusing to believe that someone so kind would betray her own subordinates. At this, Kizuna urges Yuri to tell her side of the story, so she reveals that back then, the Magitech weapons had attacked the main city, and she sent Scarlet outside the city because she was worried her missiles might cause civilian casualties. She had no idea that an actual enemy was waiting there, but she admits that she indeed took credit for everything and became a celebrity. However, Scarlet recalls how Yuri was badly hurt back then, and she finally realizes that those wounds came because she defended the whole city all by herself. Even when hurt, she came to check up on Scarlet and saved her life by defeating the Draggery. With this realization, Scarlet and Yuri solve their internal issues, after which they pounce on Kizuna like he's on sale. Working together, they provide some next-level fan service before climaxing and achieving the Connective hybrid. After that, they split into two teams and head out to face Grable, who is all charged up thanks to Aldea's tongue twister and is waiting for an attack. Aine is the first one there, and she asks Grable why she is trying to take her with her. Before Grable can explain, she is attacked by Yuri and Scarlet, who tell Aine to help Kizuna while they face these two. After she leaves, Scarlet overwhelms Grable with a barrage of missiles, and while Aldea defends her, Yuri summons a new immoral weapon called Crosshead. With this new weapon, she charges Grable head-on, but Aldea once again blocks the attack. However, Yuri increases the power and breaks through her shield, causing a huge explosion that knocks her out. As Yuri and Scarlet land to celebrate their win, Grable appears from the dust, completely unharmed, and promises to pay them for hurting Aldea. She then pulls out her own immoral weapon, called the Sword Gatling, and fires a super strong beam at them. But Kizuna steps in at the last minute to take the hit. Despite that, both of the girls are knocked out, and Kizuna himself barely survives. He then unlocks a new mode in his suit, which allows him to move at super speeds, but Grable chases after him and prepares to fire at him again. This time, Kizuna imagines every weapon he could use in this scenario and conjures them all at once. Even then, Grable appears to be more powerful than him, so he digs deeper and summons missile launches, which hit Grable point blank. Both of them free fall, but while Himekawa grabs Kizuna midair, Grable comes crashing down into the sand. Unable to stand, she crawls towards a knocked out Aldea and picks her up before teleporting away. Just as she makes it back, the engineers manage to close all the surrounding entrances, and Reiri calls this mission a success. As Yuri and Scarlet celebrate freeing Okinawa with Kizuna, Himekawa dubs him a diddler for doing two at once, while Aine watches from a distance, eager to learn who he truly is. After that, Reiri calls in the Amaterasu squad to the control room and informs them of their next mission, which is the liberation of Japan's mainland. The next day, Kizuna addresses a class of boys, teaching them the basics about the academy. However, when they insist on learning the hardcore stuff, Kizuna pulls out perfect character models of the Amaterasu squad and teaches them how to perform heart hybrid, which naturally makes all the Gooners scream. He even shows them a heat graph of each individual member along with what kind of room they prefer, and everyone in the class starts worshipping him like he's Andrew Tate or something. Kizuna then takes it a step further by showing them actual footage of when he performed heart hybrid with Himekawa, but the woman herself barges into the class and scares everyone off before destroying the entire classroom. At that time, the academy is holding a festival so the students can relax before the big battle, but Reiri sees Himekawa blasting everyone and gets worried for them. Soon after, Kizuna joins everyone backstage, and when Yuri asks him why he has a bandage on his face, Himekawa reveals she beat him up for turning her into an unpaid OnlyFans model. Yuri then reveals that it's time for rehearsal, and Aine is nowhere to be seen, so Kizuna decides to search for her. As he runs around the stalls, he finds Gertrude in a wheelchair and immediately rushes to check up on her. She tells him not to worry about her as she'll be on her feet soon, and Kizuna wishes her the best before asking if she has seen Aine. Gertrude says she's explored every single stall, and Aine is not here, so she suggests looking inside the school building. Kizuna then walks into the haunted house attraction to look for her, but the girls there run away from him because he's the famous diddler of their school. He then sees Sylvia playing Ghost, so he grabs her hand and drags her outside, telling Yuri to use her in case they can't find Ine in time. Even though Sylvia is nervous, he leaves them with the girls and goes off to look for Ine again. This time, he heads to the engineering sector and asks Momo if she's seen Ine, but she says no. When he turns to leave, she asks him to try out their new railgun, but when he says he's in a hurry, she drags him along anyway. During testing, Kizuna prays that it doesn't explode on him, but the plot gods pull an ultimate prank on him by making the gun explode. Afterward, he heads to the manga club, where he finds Shikina reading a fanfic of him and his sister, much to his shock. Next, he goes to Scarlett's maid cafe to look for some information, but the maids there offer him a different service, so he decides to skedaddle.
Come on, man.
In the end, he gives up the search as it's almost time for the concert. Meanwhile, in the Atlantis Empire, Grable is getting the 50 Shades of Grey treatment by the other commanders because she made contact with the enemy without the permission of her seniors and did not report the discovery of Zeros. Hearing this, the leader of Atlantis, Zelxion, Grable argues that there is no need for them to take more lives, but she gets slapped in the face as Zelxion says no life is worth more than what they seek, before looking her in the eye to trigger some kind of hypnosis. After that, she starts whipping Grable, but Grable enjoys it because of the hypnosis. She tries to resist it, thinking Aldea will come and save her, but Zelxion breaks her spirit by revealing that she has already turned Aldea into her lapdog, along with the rest of the commanders. With that, Zelxione gets information on Zero's whereabouts and assembles her underlings to launch an attack on the academy, only to run into Dr. Hida. Meanwhile, in the academy, it's time for the final performance, but there's still no sign of Ine, so Yuri asks Sylvia to sub in. As the performance starts, Kizuna takes a walk inside the school, wondering where Ine could have gone at this hour. Just then, he spots her in a classroom, and when he approaches her, she says she looked for the places she saw in her memories, but it doesn't exist on Earth. This makes her wonder if she's from another world, but it scares her to the point that she does not want to remember. She refuses to do any more heart hybrids even if her charge drops to 0, fearing that she will become a different person if she regains all her memories. Seeing this, Kizuna extends his hand, assuring her that she will still be herself no matter what she remembers. This reminds her of the time Kizuna tried to befriend her in the lab, but she ran away from him that time. This time, however, she takes his hand, and he assures her that he will always see her as Ine, which puts her heart at ease. After that, Kizuna starts to run his magic on her, and she shyly accepts all his advances. However, this unlocks a new portion of her memories, which makes her scream and push him away. Just then, Reiri informs them that an enemy fleet has appeared in the Kanto region of Japan, so Kizuna assembles the squad and immediately heads out to fight them. However, as he closes in on the fleet, he is shocked to see his own mother aboard the enemy ship. He flies into the ship to have a conversation with Hida, and the girls decide to let him deal with this by himself. Hida starts off the conversation by noting how much he's grown since she last saw him, but Kizuna straight up asks her why she is on a Atlantis ship. She says it's part of her field work, and she went to Atlantis for her research. Kizuna has many questions for her mother and asks her to return to the academy, but she refuses, as her research is still incomplete. Hearing this, Reiri uses the comms to scream in her ear, demanding an explanation as to why she's siding with the enemy. However, Hida tells her she's too stupid to understand it, and this pisses Reiri off so much that she orders Kizuna to apprehend Hida. When Kizuna tries to grab her, he realizes that she's a hologram, so Hida tells him to come to Tokyo if he wants to see her. After she says goodbye, Kizuna anxiously asks her how he can remove the cores, but she disappears without giving an answer. Immediately, the girls board the ship to make sure Kizuna is okay, but they are attacked by a freaky shawty named Regris. Her hybrid gear is much larger than anything they've seen before, but before she can have some fun with them, their battleship turns around and leaves. Regris scolds Hida for retreating despite being an advantage, but Hida reminds her that their only goal was to speak with them. Her assistant Varde confirms this, stating that Zelxion had ordered them to do as Hida says. She then asks Hida if Kizuna and the others will come to Tokyo, knowing that it can be a trap, and Hida confidently says that they will because she's set it up to be this way. Meanwhile, the squad returns to the control room and learns from Reiri that Tokyo liberation was all part of Hida's plan, revealing that she has been getting important information from an anonymous person, and she believes it was from Hida. Shikina also adds that they got info to close the entrances from the same channel, and only someone as brilliant and Hida can be behind this. Shocked at this, Kizuna asks Reiri what they'll do next, and she says they'll have to go to Tokyo even if it's a trap. Hearing this hypes Ine up, and she tells everyone not to back out now before leaving the room. Kizuna tries to go after her, but Reiri stops him as she has something to discuss. Outside, Aina feels bad for pushing Kizuna away, but she gets herself together and leaves to train. Meanwhile, Reiri asks Kizuna to pick a new Amaterasu member, but Kizuna is hesitant because the new member will risk their life by having a core installed in their body. Reiri admits that what they're doing is immoral, but they have no other choice if they want to save humanity and take back the mainland. She then hands him a list of candidates, and it piques his curiosity. That evening, he meets with Sylvia and tells her that he wants her to be a hybrid gear pilot. Immediately, Sylvia gets excited to be a part of the Amaterasu, but he tells her to think about it and that no one will judge her for refusing. Hearing this, she tears up and asks Kizuna if he thinks she's not good enough, but before he can explain, she throws a tantrum and runs off. However, Kizuna follows her and embraces her, stating that he doesn't want her to die. He thinks he's too weak to be a captain, and this makes her realize that he's only looking out for her. She then reveals it's her dream to be a part of the Amaterasu, so she could become strong and find her parents, who went missing in London. She then begs Kizuna to let her be part of the team, and seeing her resolve, the guy has no choice but to say yes. He then takes her to the simulation room to install the core in her body, and without hesitation, she steps up to it. After he's done, Sylvia falls asleep and Kizuna leaves her to rest. The following day, as Momo brings in new gifts from the engineering department, Aine is in her usual emo spot, looking over the ocean. When she sees Kizuna coming, she tells him to skedaddle as she wants to be alone. But Kizuna is worried about her after how they left things last time. However, she goes back to her cold persona, admitting that it was pretty cringe of her to cry over a weird dream. She dubs it the single most embarrassing moment of her life, and tells him to stop bothering her as she walks away. This makes Kizuna even more worried for her, and he's unaware that this is all just an act from Aina. Meanwhile, Himekawa is depressed over his bad memories of Tokyo, but Yuri joins her and allows her to vent out her feelings. Himekawa admits she was too scared to go back to Tokyo before, but she now looks forward to it thanks to Kizuna. Yuri admits she has changed a lot as well because of him, but she's also a bit annoyed that he charmed her so easily. Meanwhile, Aine is taking a shower to hide her tears, and Kizuna heads to the lab where he first saw her crying many years ago. When he asked her what happened to her, she told him she knew nothing about herself, and he offered her a helping hand in learning about her past. Kizuna has always known that Aina is a crybaby at heart and only acts tough on the surface, and he wonders how things would have turned out if she had grabbed his hand back then. The next day, as the Amaterasu gathers for their mission, the alarms suddenly go off, and they are attacked by new Magitech weapons called the Vikings. These Vikings immediately cause chaos in the city, so Scarlet takes charge and tells the Amaterasu squad to leave for Tokyo. They immediately activate their hybrid gear and fly off, only to be interrupted by a large horde of Magitech weapons. Seeing this, Kizuna orders everyone to split up and head to their designated spots, allowing them to go unseen. However, as Kizuna closes in on the city, he sees several weapons patrolling, so he sneaks into a subway tunnel to avoid them. He then places a communication device inside, and this allows the control room at the academy to get a clear signal. At the same time, signals from other members of the squad also come in, and once the location of the entrance is determined, Reiri sends in the engineering squad to close it. After that, Kizuna heads outside to cause some chaos and divert attention from the engineers, only to be shocked upon seeing several civilians casually walking around the city. As he wonders what in the voodoo BS is going on, he sees Hida and Varde standing atop a building. He asks Hida how she managed to restore the city, but Hida claps her hands to disable the illusion, revealing a completely destroyed and worn-out city. She then reveals that all the people he sees are real, and they are hypnotized with magic to live out a normal, happy life here, which in turn allows her to harvest their life energy. The energy is then sucked up into a device that transfers it to Atlantis, and Hida plans to turn the entire city into a big energy harvesting farm. Seeing this pisses Kizuna off as he realizes that her mother has no regard for human life, and everything is just an experiment to her. He angrily declares that he will take her back and make her remove the hybrid core from everyone. Hida says that's impossible, as she merely found the cores and tuned them to convert life energy into magic, but there's no way to reverse the process. Realizing that everyone he loves will always be in danger, Kizuna loses his mind and rushes towards Hida to smash her, but Varde steps in and gives him a reality check. Just then, Ragras appears and challenges him to a duel, but Kizuna sees innocent people walking in the streets and lures Ragras away to protect them. Several Magitech weapons follow him and corner him in an alley, but Kizuna calls upon his trusty baddies, who appear in an instant, and take the mechs down while also farming aura. As they turn their attention to Ragras, Scarlet and her girls secure the area for the engineers, but they get a signal for an incoming attack and brace themselves for a fight. Meanwhile, Ragras defeats Himekawa and Yuri in seconds, and Aine is the only one who has a slight chance at beating her. However, after having her 2 seconds of fame, she is defeated as well, and Kizuna is the last one left. As he tends to Aine, Ragras says she will take Aine back with her, but since the rest of them are useless, she will send them back to God. Just as she prepares to finish Kizuna off, she is shot by a strong laser, coming from a giant hybrid unit, operated by the newest member of the Amaterasu, Sylvia. She apologizes for being late and tells Kizuna to run away while she holds Ragras back, and Kizuna agrees to it. After he leaves, Ragras gets pissed at getting interrupted, but Sylvia stands her ground and bombards her with missiles, which damage her significantly. After an intense clash, Sylvia beats the living bejesus out of Ragras and manages to bring her down, but Ragras is too proud to accept defeat and sends her mech on to blow up the entire city. In that crucial moment, as citizens of Tokyo face imminent death, Sylvia bravely summons her epic immoral weapon, which makes a godly figure appear before her. That godly figure summons a giant black hole that sucks the nuke into itself before making it explode inside. After that, an exhausted Sylvia descends onto the ground, and as Kizuna runs up to her, she happily declares that she protected everyone. Hida sees this from afar and takes note of it before retreating to Atlantis. Just then, several more enemy battleships appear, but Reiri sends a portable simulation room to Kizuna, asking him to clap all 3 of the girls and help them win this battle. Kizuna picks Himekawa first as her charge is the lowest, while the others provide support. Meanwhile, Scarlet's unit is attacked by Zelchion, who uses her hypnotic powers to turn all of them into her pets. As Kizuna runs his magic on Himekawa inside the chamber, Aine fights off the mechs, but she cannot focus as she can't accept the fact that she's gotten so weak. Soon after, Kizuna exits the chamber with Himekawa, and Yuri mocks her for taking her time in there. Himekawa gets all shy and says she only got cracked for the mission before activating her heart hybrid gear. However, when she gets ambushed, Aine saves her and then approaches Kizuna, immediately dragging Kizuna into the room, while Yuri complains that it was her turn. After cutting off the comms, she asks Kizuna to do it with her, as she needs access to her immoral weapon to win this battle. Kizuna worries about new memories surfacing in her, but she says she is who she is and won't change, no matter what happens. Hearing this, Kizuna agrees to it and changes the surroundings to their classroom. He then simulates all of their classmates taking the class. Right before he starts diddling with Aine, she gets extremely nervous and asks him to stop, but Kizuna continues to be freaky and even removes her plot covers. Aine is then called on to solve an equation on the board, and as others gossip about her going commando, she starts to feel excited and reaches Heart Hybrid. After that, Kizuna ends the class, and Aine runs into his arms before calling him a big old dummy. Meanwhile, Yuri calls Sylvia to make sure she's okay, but Zelchion appears and reveals she's put Sylvia under hypnosis. She then notes that Yuri and Himekawa have given her troops a hard time and promises them a good reward before activating her ability called Heart Rebuild. Inside the chamber, Aine says she has to go to the restroom, but Kizuna snaps his fingers and takes her on stage in front of hundreds of people. She asks what's going on, and Kizuna tells her they've all come to see her reach climax hybrid. He then brings in front of the audience, and Aine is embarrassed beyond belief. She begs him to stop as she can't hold it anymore, but Kizuna tells her to let it go like she's Elsa, and she finally lets the floodgates open. After she reaches climax hybrid, she finds herself floating in space and sees the bright light in front. When she touches it, she awakens a memory of herself on Atlantis, but this scares her so much that she locks it up again. When she wakes up, she finds herself in Kizuna's arms and notes that the climax hybrid failed. She blames herself because she was too scared, but Kizuna tells her that it wasn't her fault. Just then, the chamber is struck by something, so they rush outside to see Himekawa, Yuri, and Sylvia badly defeated. Zelchion appears and says she has trapped them each inside their own minds, in which Himekawa is back in Tokyo, facing the tri-head who gave her more trauma than your dysfunctional family. She also sees the little girl asking her why she didn't save her, and breaks her from the inside. Meanwhile, Yuri finds herself back in the day when she accidentally sent Scarlet to her death. Just then, a huge blast occurs, and she sees that all her comrades have died. In the present, Aine calls Zelchion shameless and cowardly for using psychological tricks, but she doesn't care, as she has already eliminated most of those who oppose her. She then asks them to surrender if they want their lives to be spared, as she can use them for harvesting life energy. When Kizuna tells her to shut up, Zelchion turns to Aine and asks her to remember how she got zeros. However, after realizing that Aine doesn't remember, she releases a pollen in the air that knocks Aine out and takes her on a memory lane. Kizuna gets pissed at this and vows to make her pay, but is confident he can't lay a finger on her. As Kizuna struggles to fight her underlings, one of them suddenly starts to act weirdly, which confuses him. Meanwhile, Aina finds herself in a memory, recalling how she already had Zero's core inside her when Dr. Hida found her. Her younger self guides her to a giant door, but she asks Aina if she's really sure about learning the truth. Aina says she is not, but then, she sees the memory of Kizuna comforting her, and this makes her realize that he has always looked out for her. Outside, Kizuna gets overwhelmed, so he activates Zero's mode and defeats the mechs before demanding that Zelxion bring everyone back. She gets amused by his display of strength, and starts lashing him to show that she's a feminist. But even when badly injured, he refuses to give up. Just then, Himekawa feels his presence inside her memory, and knowing that he's always with her helps her break free. Yuri and Sylvia experience the same thing, and this allows him to reach Heart Hybrid even without touching them. As he regains his full strength, he becomes overpowered and manages to defeat Zelxion's entire fleet. He then turns his attention to the final boss and lands a hit that damages her suit as well as her emotional state. Just as the girls wake up, they get to witness true horror as Zelxion mind controls Aine and commands her to flatline Kizuna. However, the real Aine is trapped in her own memories, finally declaring her love for him and entering the door she's been avoiding all this time. At the last second, she regains control of her body and activates the Forbidden Heart Hybrid gear. Zelxion sees this and tries to attack, but Kizuna protects Aina with his shield. Aina then floats in the air and summons a weapon called Codebreaker, and it causes a huge energy blast that sends Zelxion back to God and breaks everyone free of her mind control. After that, everyone watches as the entrance in Tokyo shuts down, and Reiri smiles as she declares this mission a success. Meanwhile, as the sun sets on a liberated Tokyo, Kizuna holds Aina's hand to celebrate their win. Just then, a mysterious girl appears and addresses Aina as the princess of the Atlantis Empire. That's it for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to see more, watch this video on screen.